Hey, everybody, it's Mike here at the HomeHappy Podcast. I'm here with Kalinka and our guest, Tyson. Welcome, everybody.
Morning.
Thank you. Morning.
Yeah, we're here to talk about a subject that most people don't want to talk about, and that's critical illness coverage. So some of you know what that is, some of you don't, and that's fine. We're going to get into the details. But really, in summation, it's an insurance coverage that covers in specific circumstances, and I'm going to let Tyson explain that more. Tyson, why don't we start with you introduce yourself and tell us a little bit of what critical illness means.
Yeah, sure. Thanks, Mike. So my name is Tyson Nagasaka. I'm a financial advisor with the portfolio planning team down here in Vancouver, and I've been a practicing advisor for about 16 years. I've been in the financial industry about 25 years. So since I was about 10 years old, and seen a lot, and I've learned a lot, and got a ton of experience working with different families and situations. And so I love that Mike is doing this, and we can have conversations around what's actually going on. And then I'm sorry, Mike, was there a follow-up question? You said, hey, what is this?
Maybe do the generic explanation of what critical illness insurance coverage is.
Yeah, you got it. Most people are familiar with what life insurance is. Life insurance pays you or your beneficiaries when you pass away. But what happens when you don't die? That's where critical illness really comes in. And we're seeing more and more instances of people having some of the big ones, which is cancer, heart attack, stroke. But critical illness covers 25 or 26 definitions, depending on which carrier you use. And it's to really give you a tax-free capital injection into a situation where it's terrible. You're likely not working. If you're recovering from cancer, the recovery is usually 18 to 36 months. And so you only have so much sick time. You only have so much time off work. You have to have some sort of income to continue to pay for the rest of your life and everything that's going on. Critical illness fills that void.
And let's be honest, people are not financially prepared for this. It's not something that people prepare for. And even to dive a little bit deeper, Tyson, picture this, a family, mom, dad with a child, a young kid. And this resonates a lot with me because I have a little one. And so when we had this conversation previously, I'm like, oh my God, like a lot of people need to know about this. And it's something that people don't talk about. So you have a child, your child is healthy. All of a sudden something happens and the child is diagnosed with, a sickness, a critical illness. And the parents are not financially prepared for this. One of them has to stay with this child now. So that parent is not bringing the income. And there's two types of stress here. The stress to be with this child because all the parent wants is this child to be healthy. I know how that feels. And another stress is that, oh my God, now I can't pay for the bills that are arriving in the mail. What do I do? So can you go a little bit further into that and explain if there's a coverage for that and how that works?
Yeah. And you hit the nail on the head. Like, congratulations. I'll just anoint you the spokesperson for our team.
You just picture this. I picture this in my head and I'm just like, it's crazy.
Yeah, it really is. And it's a very tough situation. And so as a parent, you're going to be wherever your child is. And a lot of the times it's both parents. They want to be there. So what do? You only get so much sick time. You only get so much time away from work. And then the bills will continue to come. Plus, there may be new medical expenses or new treatment options. And say you had the best doctor for your illness was in Brazil or Switzerland or in the States, right? In the Mayo Clinic in the US. You want to go and get the best treatment, but how do you afford that? And so this is where critical illness for children starts to come into the planning picture. And we want to introduce the topic because a lot of people, they don't want to think about having insurance on their kids because they don't want to feel guilty about enriching themselves if something happened to one of their family members. But really what we want to think of it as is the protection of all of everything that you've built. Number one is if you have a home, if you have a business, like the bills will continue to come. So you have to be able to pay for your time off. The other things that we kind of talked about is, man, if the best available physician is in another country or you have to travel there, you have to pay for it. You want to be able to just write that check and go get that coverage because that one visit or 2 visits, it might make all the difference in the world. And maybe we don't even have the capability here in this province. Like, what if you had to go inter-province and MSP won't cover it? Then how are you going to pay for that? So there's a lot of like micro reasons, but the big one is you want to be there on the appointments, at the bedside, during recovery, and you have to be able to sustain the rest of your life.
Yeah, it's such a topic that nobody wants to think about, nobody wants to even, contemplate, but yet in that circumstance, man, I mean, what a difference that would be to have that in place as opposed to not. And I think that's what we really want to get across, the message that if you have kids, I mean, at the very least, you should have coverage on your own income, because you're relying on them for your life and situation. But on top of that, like the thought of the parents having to take time off, because who wouldn't, and trying to deal with life's tough enough on a regular basis, but when your kid's sick, oh my God, I can't even imagine. So I think that's where we just wanted to convey that message and get it across, that there is coverage, there's smart planning, and that's certainly one of them in my mind. That should just be automatic. And Lenka, do you want to talk any more about that, or?
Yeah, no, it just makes a lot of sense to me. And, imagine you can have 2, 3 kids, right? Not even only one. So I think it's not looking at it from a negative type of chat, but it's more like, hey, it's a proactive, like,
Exactly.
this needs to be addressed. It's not something that we learn in school. It's not something that, our families are really talking about, but it is a topic that comes up and it needs to be addressed. So it was awesome to just sort of chat about it lightly. And then I'm sure that as people who are listening have questions, all the information for Tyson and portfolio will be below. So yeah.
Tyson, anything else you want to add on that, just to summarize it?
Yeah, I mean, I could talk about this for an hour, but I know you guys want to keep this short. I think for people who have older children, and so these are my clients that are 50, 55, 60 years old, we position child critical illness on like teenage children as retirement protector. And so if you're getting close to the finish line and you can see the light at the end of the tunnel, but if your teenager has a brain injury, aneurysm, heart attack, we've seen some teenage athletes have heart attacks, cancer, right? A few other things. If you're spending $100,000 of your retirement income on getting your child better and taking time off work and paying bills, that could be several $100,000 when you're 75, 80, 85 years old that you're taking out of your retirement too early. And so having critical illness on your older children when you're closer to retirement is retirement protection for you as well. And so even if you think your young adult children, you don't have to pay for it anymore because they're young adults, but you make sure that they get it, because it's also retirement protection. Because a lot of 20, 25-year-olds, the first place they're turned to is the bank of mom and dad and say like, hey, I've got, cancer. I'm 25 years old. I've got cancer. How am I going to pay for my, mortgage on my condo now? So mom and dad, bank of mom and dad's going to bail them out. And that's likely going to come from their retirement.
Wow. Lots to unpack and lots to think about. But I think the point of this chat was just to get you thinking. And from there, it's an in-depth discussion. There's all sorts of different coverages. And also one thing I'll point out is that some countries don't allow this kind of insurance or don't offer this. In Canada, we have some of the best coverage there is. So you should be thinking about it, and certainly worth a chat with Tyson and his team. If you don't have your own planner, that's fine. But I think we just wanted to open the topic up. I think we'll definitely cover this again and go through it maybe more in depth. But yeah, I just really appreciate Tyson you coming on and giving us this update. And thank you very much.
You're very welcome. Thanks for having me. Thanks, Lenka. Thanks, Mike.
Thanks. Have a good one.
Hey, everybody. Thanks very much for being on the HomeHappy Podcast once again. If you have questions, comments, we'd love to hear them. Also, please like and subscribe, and we'll see you again.